budget filmmakers, and I don't believe you have to have lots of money and lots of time to make a good film. I think if you just do your homework and hire good people, and I love my cameraman. He's done 4 films for me. I did 3 films with Vilmos Zsigmond. And if you have people like that working with you, and my writers, that's most important. It took 10 months actually to write the script, and that took a long time.
But still, 8 weeks to shoot it is pretty phenomenal.
Well, not for most of us. I mean, Mike, I'm sure it runs into the same thing as Mike Figgis back there. And if you do, I'm sure Martin Scorsese now takes months and months to do a film, and he makes them for hundreds of thousands of dollars when he used to make small films, which I really loved. And I don't think you have to have a lot of time and a lot of money to make a good film.
Firstly, it's a wonderful film.
Thank you.
Truly, and so modern. The question I have, one of about 400, but the structure you ended up with, which is so complex and beautifully sort of placed, was that written, or did you have material and then did you get really creative in post-production? How much of it was?
I think most of it was written. I mean, I think Carol Eastman was one of the best writers that ever came out of Hollywood, and I was very lucky to find her. Of course, in 10 months we had so much conversation and talks about it. We'd laugh, we'd cry. It was just, and we'd argue. But she was just that way, and I would say, well, there's as you said last night, sometimes you get into shooting and you find that you can't do this and you can't do that, and then when you get to the editing room, you can do something. And the scene here where they're going away, and he says, "Look, come in and make believe you don't know me, and just ask me what my name is and all that." I had shot, just sort of improvised the scene, and Barry went on and on and on, and it was such rubbish, and finally, while we were shooting even, I was thinking of how I'm going to cut this, and how I'm going to make it different. And when the producer saw it, he said, "Oh, we got to shoot that over." I said, "No, we don't have to. I know how I'm going to present it." And he kept going on about reshooting. I didn't want to reshoot because I didn't want to take the time. And this is what came out of it. And when he saw it, he was happy, but they don't know what we had in mind. But with most of it, I'd say it was scripted.
And the layering, the whole thing of when the voice was on the tape recorder, and that was actually written in the script?
Well, that was actually done by me. I taped my model, 3.5 hours of tape, and after I had met Carol, and actually I ran to a producer that I had met at a party once, and he said, "What are you doing out here?" I said, "I'm looking for a writer," and he was producing Petulia, and she had written a version of Petulia, and Dick Lester didn't care for it, but he said he thinks it's great, I should read it. I read it, I just fell in love with her writing. And I met her, I took her up to meet Faye Dunaway, and I figured she'd kiss my ring or something. She couldn't care less, and I kept calling her and saying, "Don't worry," because I had a producer that was in India, and I was waiting for him to come back, and I kept calling her to keep her in line, and and I'd say, "Don't worry, we haven't forgotten about you." She said, "Oh, okay. And then when finally I went out there, I had to get rid of the producer, and I went out to California with the 3.5 hours of tape. She hadn't heard anything, and I asked her to come see me. She did, and I said, "Look, I have some tape that I'd like you to listen to." She said, "I can't really stay because I have a friend of mine who has a toothache in the car." I said, "Oh, but what will you do?" She said, "Well, I'll start to listen to a little bit of it, and then you can send it or something." I said, okay. So she started listening. She sat there for 3.5 hours and left a friend on the car. And I'm not sure that a friend really had a toothache, you know, but I guess she prepared herself in case she was going to be bored or didn't want to get involved. But she fell in love with the tape that I had, and from there, she started to pick up things for the script. The first script was over 200 pages, and she wouldn't send it to me. And I told her, you've got to send it to me. She said, oh, no. And finally, I told her, contract's a contract, you know. And so she sent it to me, and it was great, but it was too long. And she made me promise I would destroy it, and of course I didn't destroy it. I've kept it, and Carol has died since then. And but I hope she gets her due as time goes on. Well, she certainly did. You know, she wrote 5 easy pieces. She's really a great writer.